Start this. This is ninth, and we are in Act 4. I'm sorry, Act 2, Scene 4. This is the D class. So we're slightly behind the other class that I videotaped yesterday. So, King of France. Would you begin?
Thus comes the English with full power upon us, and more than carefully it is us concerns, to answer royally in our defences. Therefore the Dukes of Berry and of Brittany, of Brabant and of Orleans, shall make forth, and you, Prince Dauphin, with all swift dispatch, to line anew repair our towns of war, with men of courage and with means defended. For England and his approaches make us fierce as waters to the sucking of gold.
I'm sorry, I just need to take this so you can keep reading.
Okay, sure. It fits us then to be as provident as fear may teach us out of late examples, left by the fatal and neglected English on our fields.
My most regarded father, it is most meet we arms against the foe, for peace itself will not so do a kingdom. Though war nor no quarrel were in question, but that defenses, musters, preparation should be maintained, the simple thing that do. As there were a war in expectation, therefore I say, 'tis meet we go all for it. To view the sick and feeble parts of France, and let us do it with no show of fear. No, no more than we heard about England. We're busy with the Whitsun Norse dance. For my good Lord, she is so idly kid, the scepter so fantastically formed, by vain giddy shallow humorous youth, that fear attends for not.
All right, I'm sorry I had to step out, but we're in Act 2 still. We're looking at number 28, and the question, we can answer 28. Okay, does the king respect this invasion? Is he taking it seriously? The king?
No.
Well, let me read something that he says. Thus comes the English with full power upon us, and more than carefully it us concerns to answer royally in our defenses. Then he assigns to the Duke of Berry and Brittany and a couple of others the defense, and to the Dauphin. And he reminds them, he says, for England as his approach makes us fierce as waters to the sucking of a gull, it fits us then to be as provident as fears may teach us of late examples. So I would say more yes than no, and yeah. Sorry, it's gonna take me just a second.
Yeah, I'm out of staples, so. Did you take? Is that Well, I was annoyed because I got a 24 and a 62, so which is the worst grade I think I've ever made in this class. Well, in Spanish class.
Wait, which one?
I missed 16.
On Spanish?
Yeah, which one did you get 24 on?
It's okay. I got
So,
like 24.
Yeah, I got like a 10 on that. Well, I got 52.
Andrew, even when we're not actually reading, you're distracting
sorry.
everybody. I want you to write that down. It's already been up on the board, but I had to erase it. The answer to the question is yes, he does respect the English, and he takes them seriously. And the proof is that he says, these 4 guys, you take care of the defenses. To his son, he says, you need to repair the towns of war. And he says, don't forget what they did in 1346 at Crécy. Don't forget what they did in 1356 at Poitiers. They beat us. And so this guy's related to them. He's related to them. And so the Dauphin, on the other hand, he says this, yeah, we'll do it, but look at the bottom of the page, line 23. Therefore, I say, 'tis meet that we go forth to view the sick and feeble parts of France. Yeah, we'll do it. It's important, yeah. Let us do it with no show of fear. No, with no more than if we heard that England were busied with a Whitsun Morris dance. For my good liege, this is his opinion. We already know his opinion of Henry. What is it? Tennis ball. Right. So he says that she, England, is so idly kinged, her scepter so fantastically borne by a vain, giddy, shallow, humorous youth, that fear attends her not. So he continues to insult Henry and said he's idle, he's vain, he's giddy, he's shallow, he's humorous. Nobody takes him seriously. He says that fear attends her not. All right, so the answer to 28 we just did, and we just supported it. All right, so the constable, he actually agrees with the king. So whoever the constable is.
O peace, Prince Dolphin, you are too much mistaken in this claim. Question your grace, the late ambassadors with what great state he heard their embassy, how well supplied with noble counselors, a modest interception, and withal how terrible in constant resolution. And you shall find his vanities forespent were but the outside of the Roman Brutus, covering discretion with a coat of folly, as gardeners do with odor hide those roots that shall first spring and be most of.
All right, would you highlight or bracket these lines, lines 35, 36, and 37? What do you notice about the way they're written? Yes.
Parallelism.
Very good. Would you like to describe the parallelism used? Yeah, you can.
How well, how modest, how careful.
Yeah, so how, that's anaphora. Didn't we talk about anaphora yesterday? Anybody remember what anaphora is? Start succeeding lines with the same words, how. But then after that, it creates parallelism, because well supplied is an adjective, modest is an adjective, terrible is an adjective, but different adjective. That's what parallelism does. I promise you, you would instantly, if you this very moment, when you wrote like thesis statements in any other place where you're listing in like a list of things, at least 3, if you would write them in the same manner, in other words, if you would use parallelism, you would be instantly a better writer. And your teacher, Dr. Bedsel, next year, I don't know if Ms. Maple will be teaching you next year, Ms. Roberts, they will instantly be impressed with, and it's clearer. Why do you want to, you're not writing to impress somebody, you're writing to communicate. And the better you communicate, the more impressive you are, because people understand you. That is a really good idea. Before they might say, I don't know what this person's saying. Now they know. So just, I wish I did a better job teaching it. We just don't usually have the time to get it too much into it, but that is parallelism. By the way, the constable does agree with the king. We said that earlier. He said, yeah, we did. Oh, I would be very wrong not to mention it. He says, and you shall find his vanities forespent were but the outside of the Roman Brutus, covering discretion with a coat of folly. Roman Brutus. Brutus. Who is Brutus? He did what? I'm sorry.
Betrayed Caesar.
What's the date of today?
March 15th.
The Ides of March.
Today is the Ides of March. This is the day that Julius Caesar was killed by Brutus.
This is the eye, wow, that's funny.
All right, so,
I will remember that.
good. All right, we know that. We know we're a little bit shaky about Shakespeare when he died. He died on his birthday. Is that right? Well, nobody's questioning when Julius Caesar, who was killed 1,500 years before Shakespeare died, Brutus was killed, and nobody questions that. Nobody. It's 44 BC. We know who did it. We know where it happened. We know because he was a king. Shakespeare was just a playwright, but we know Shakespeare as well as we know Brutus. In fact, most people would know who Brutus is, but everybody still knows who Shakespeare is. Dauphin, where are you?
Well, 'tis not so, my lord high constable, but though we think it so, it is no matter, in cases of offense, 'tis best to weigh the enemy of not within seas. So the proportions of offense are filled, which of a weakened with niggardly projection, doth like a miser spoil his coat, scanting a little pelf.
So that was, okay, you can think that if you want to, that we should fear the king, we should fear Henry, but it's not true. But we'll do it. It's just almost grudgingly, yeah, I'll do it. We'll prepare for them. There's no reason we need to, but we'll do it. Fran.
Is it a title or is he his name?
Dauphin?
Dauphin.
I think it's a title. It's like Prince of Wales. It's usually the title of the Crown Prince of England.
Okay, so it's like one of those little petty titles that they give people to make them special.
Now you're getting into editorializing, and I don't know, it's what they call them. I don't know why they call them.
Okay, because I know there's stuff where they like give like, what's that queen who gave all the people names and her husband got a special name, and like.
Well, it's just it's the tradition. It may be tradition that makes sense to us, but they must have a reason for it. All right, France.
Think we King Harry strong, and princes, look you strongly armed to meet him. The kindred of him hath been flushed upon us, and he is bred out of that bloody strain that haunted us in our familiar paths. Witness our too much memorable shame when Cressy battle fatally was struck, and all our princes captured by the hand of that black name, Edward Black Prince of Wales. While that his mountain sire, on mountain standing up in the air, crowned with the golden sun, saw his heroic seed, and smiled to see him mangle the work of nature and deface the patterns that by God and by French fathers had 20 years been made. This is the stem of that victorious stock, and let us fear the nature, mightiness, and fate of him.
Look at question, thank you. Well, let's keep reading. We'll answer that when we're finished. So, Messenger.
Ambassadors from Harry, King of England, do crave admittance to your majesty.
We'll give them present audience. Go and bring them.
Okay, Messenger exits.
Wait, why do they call him Harry?
I don't know if that's a typical nickname for Henry, but that is Henry's nickname. Remember a little touch of Harry in the night? That's Henry. Certain names have certain nicknames.
What's the difference though? It's like still the same.
What?
What's the difference like if you say Harry and it's not like?
Well, Harry is not very formal, is it? It's not, it's just, Henry is. In fact, remember, most of these people, these aren't their real names. Like even the Windsors, that's a place. That's not even a name, but they took the name of Windsor, I think after World War I, because they didn't want to be connected with the Germans. But yeah, a lot of these names, you're right, a lot of these names are made up. Well, your name's made up. I mean, your parents made up, they came up with a name, it's kind of arbitrary in some cases. They could have named you after your uncle, but they named you after your other uncle, names are great, but sometimes they don't mean a lot.
You see this chase is hotly followed, friends.
Dauphin.
Dauphin.
Turned head and stop pursuit, coward dogs, move spin their mouths when that they seem affected. Runs far before the begin my sovereign, take up the English short, and let them know what a monarchy you are the head. Self-love, my liege, is not so vile a sin as neglect.
He's giving his father advice. Look tough, Dad. Come on, be tough with him. He's not going to be tough with him, but he knows his father, and he said, be tough with him. Make sure you know who's boss. All right,
Oh, that's his son?
the Dauphin.
Oh.
For my brother of England,
Excellent.
From him, and thus he greets your majesty. He wills you in the name of God Almighty, that you divest yourself and lay apart the borrowed glories that by gift of heaven, by law of nature and of nations, belongs to him and to his heirs. Namely, the crown and all wild stretched honors that pertain, by custom and ordinance of times, unto the crown of France. That you may know 'tis no sinister nor no awkward claim, picked from the wormholes of long vanished days, nor from the dust of old oblivion raked. He sends you this most memorable line. In every branch truly demonstrative, willing you to overlook this pedigree, and when you find him evenly derived from his most famed and famous ancestors, Edward III, he bids you then resign your crown and kingdom, indirectly held from him, the native and true challenger.
or else what follows?
Bloody constraint, for if you hide the crown even in your hearts, there you will wear it through. Therefore in fierce tempest is he coming, in thunder and earthquake like a Jove, that if requiring fail, he will
Here, tomorrow shall you bear our full intent. Back to our brother of England.
For the Dauphin, I stand here for him, not to him from England.
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that may not misbecome the mighty sender, doth he prize you at. Thus says my king, and if your father's highness do not, and grant of all demands at large, sweeten the bitter mock you send his majesty, he'll call you to so hot an answer of it, that caves and woundly voltages of France shall chide your trespass, and return your mock in second accent of his ordinance.
Say, if my father made me a fair return, it is against my will, for I desire nothing but odds with England to that end, as matching to his youth and vanity. I did present him with the Paris to his horse.
He'll make your Paris lose shake for it, were it the mistress course of mighty Europe, and be assured you'll find a difference, as we his subjects have in wonder found, between the promise of his greener days and these he masters now. Now he wastes time, even to the utmost grain, that you shall read in your own losses, if you stay in France.
Tomorrow shall you know our mind at full.
Dispatch us with all speed, lest that our king come here to question our delay, for he is footed in this land already.
You shall be soon dispatched with fair conditions, and that is but small breath and little pause to answer that of its consequence.
All right, there are a couple things here. Look at question 29. Or imagine you're president, or imagine even President Zelensky of Ukraine. Basically, the president of Russia said to him, I want to take over Ukraine. I want these demands. I want you to recognize Crimea. I want to take eastern Ukraine. And do you know what he said? Do you know what the president said? The president.
Move his microphone to show that he was there.
But he basically said no. Yeah, he did, but he said no. There was no. We'll talk about it. No. What is the King of France's response to Exeter? Says the King Henry is here to take he wants you to resign and give him the crown. You would expect him to say no, but he doesn't say no. What does he
Think
say?
about it.
He'll think about it. He also asks, or else. Like, what if I don't? That's the wrong answer. You know, it should be no. And he said, well, we'll kill you for it. We'll kill Englishmen. We'll kill widows, and we'll make widows and orphans, and there'll be dead men's blood and so forth. So he said, we'll think about it. What does that tell you about the King of France?
Bit of a pushover.
He's a wimp. He's a pushover, right? The Dauphin isn't much better. The Dauphin talks tough. I'm not sure that I believe. The evidence of the battle is they didn't fight very well, and I don't know about the Dauphin. But anyway, the Dauphin asked specifically, what does the king think of me? And Exeter says, slight regard, scorn, defiance, contempt. That's what he thinks of you. And the Dauphin says, I don't know what my dad's going to tell you, but all I want to do is fight you. I just want to fight you. And so that happens between the two of them.
There you go.
Yeah. So, 29, how does the Dauphin's response to Henry's messenger compare with that of his father? The Dauphin is more defiant, is tough talking. His father is not. I'd forgotten this. You know what the Louvre is?
Is that the triangle in Paris? Or is it the
Mr. Roberts hasn't mentioned that.
Yeah, do you know what it is? You know what it is?
That's what I'm saying, triangle. It's an
Okay, I need to this one though. What is the Louvre?
It's the Museum of Mona Lisa's.
All right, it is a museum, but it was the palace. It was the king's palace in Paris. Let's go back to the Song of Roland. What was the capital of France in Charlemagne's day? Aix. So capitals do move around. Ours was not Washington initially. You know what it was?
Richmond, New York. Virginia.
New York.
Uh-huh.
It was
What?
New York.
Sorry?
New York.
I don't think so. I think it was Philadelphia.
That makes a lot of sense.
We'll check it out for me.
It makes sense if it still was. I don't know why it's.
But they moved it. But so capitals can move. Moscow is the capital of Russia.
What is the capital? Is the capital wherever the White House is?
It's where the seat of government is. You know, in other words, where do the,
Because the White House was in New York City, so I didn't know if that's before they moved to Washington.
well, I'll double check that. I think I'm right, but I might not be. But it wasn't in Washington, yeah. Another question.
How did he respond?
Who we talking about, he?
The Prince King.
The king or the prince? The king responded, I'll think about it. The prince responded, I don't know what my dad's gonna say or said, but all I wanna do is fight you guys. But I still think the dolphin is more talk than action.
And the dolphin is the prince.
That's right. The guy sent the tennis ball.
Oh, so he's a little, prat, is he? Isn't he?
He's what?
A prat, it's like brat, but like special. That's how they say it in Britain. He's a brat.
Yeah, I get you, but it's something you made up or?
No,
It's a thing.
I've heard it in a book somewhere.
Prat? Never heard of
Yeah,
it.
I think that's how they.
Chris Pratt.
All right, so we are now in Act 3, and we'll continue for a few minutes. So we need our chorus. Who's our chorus? Dominic is the king in the chorus. No, he's the dolphin in the. All right, so we need the chorus. Dominic will read it.
Oh, well, it used to be the chorus, right? Because Olivia.
You want Olivia to, if she's been begging to do something.
Huh?
Dominic, you want? Dominic, I think she does. All right, yeah,
Do you wanna answer number 30 before we move on to Act 3?
read it.
In what ways is Henry B's youthful reputation hurting him? In what
Oh,
ways
yes.
might it be helping him?
Opinion question, but I think there's a good answer to that. His reputation of being a partier, as a youth, how was that hurting him? How is it helping
I
him?
don't think it's true.
Well, why is that hurting him? If they don't take you seriously, how does that hurt
They
you?
might not believe everything like he says.
Right, what did you say, Amanda?
They won't listen to you.
And specifically, if people are afraid of you, they tend not to wanna fight you. And so, because of his reputation, they're willing to fight him. So his reputation is hurting his country. People are going to die because people were not afraid of Henry. How is it helping him?
They don't actually know.
Underestimating.
They're underestimating.
They're underestimating, which we already said is a dangerous thing to do to your opponent.
To fight for him or fight
Against him, the French. I think we would rather have leaders who at least are tough, and not just talk tough, but are tough, whose actions, I think it actually prevents war, rather than people that are willing to go into war. If you have a tough reputation, nobody wants to mess with you. And that actually creates peace. All right, so enter Act 3. Act 3 and Act 4, the invasion has taken place, and they're already fighting. So we may not get past the chorus, but Olivia will read the chorus.
Thus with imagined wing our swift seas flies in motion no less salutary,
Celerity.
celerity than that is God. Suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king of Dover Pier embark his royalty, and his brave fleet with sinking streamers, the young Phoebus. And play with your fancies, and in them behold, upon the hempen tackle, ship boys climbing. Hear the shrill whistle, which doth order give to sounds confused. Hold the threatened sail, borne with the visible and creeping wind. Draw the huge bottoms through the furrowed sea, breasting the lofty surge. Oh, do but think you stand upon the rivage, and behold a city on the constant billows dancing. For so appears this fleet majestical, holding due course to Harfleur. Follow, grapple your minds to sternage of this navy, and leave your England as dead midnight still, guarded grand Toscan cavalries to France. Work your thoughts, and therein see a siege. Behold the ordnance on their carriages, with little mouths gaping on girded Harfleur. Suppose the ambassador from the French come back, tell Harry that the king doth offer him Catherine's daughter, and with her the dowry, some petty and unprofitable dukedoms. The author likes not, and the nimble gunner with Linstock now the devilish cannon touches. I want to mention it all. And down goes all before them, still behind and eke out like a foam.
All right, so we can answer one question about that. Question 31, what compromise does the French king offer to Henry? What is Henry's response?
Is it the daughter for marriage?
That's one of the things the king offered. You can marry my daughter. You can have a few tracts of land over here, and we'll give you a dowry to boot. You know, the money that you get from the wife's side of the family, the dowry. You get an ample dowry, not diary. And so that's his response. Though I'm not giving you my kingdom, but I will give you some things, or at least he's negotiating. I mean, from Henry's point of view, that should be positive. But what is Henry's response? The offer likes not, and the nimble gunner with the linstock now the devilish cannon touches. So the response is a cannon, it's cannon fire. Supposedly at the Alamo, you know, the Texans were surrounded by Santa Anna's army, and they offered them a chance to leave the Alamo in one piece, everybody leave, and the response was a cannon fire. That was his response. Didn't say yes, didn't say no. He just lit the cannon, and it sent off a round. So it's a pretty dramatic way to answer somebody. You pretty much know what they're thinking when that was their
You
response.
shoot at them or just in the air or something?
Both.
Ah.
Wouldn't have minded if he wouldn't have minded if he killed a few people doing it. All right. Let me just at least introduce this. We won't. Who's going to be our Henry? Okay.
Yep.
We all hold our breath. The entire class holds it. What Andrew are we going to get today? But you're not going to be able to read all of it, but read the first page. This is famous, and I just want you to hear it, and then we'll reread it tomorrow. We'll start with you tomorrow. This is the second most famous speech in the book. This is called Once More Into the Breach. That's what I call it, speech. It's the breach speech.
Breach speech.
Yeah.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more. We'll close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, be then imitate the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the protage of the head. Let the brass cannon, let the bower o'er home, it's as fearfully as doth a galled rock.
That's probably enough. And you can do this again tomorrow. I just want you to hear it. Once more into the breach. This is literally a speech. The context is Henry standing in front of the walls. The fighting has been going on for some time, indefinite. We don't know the actual time. Harfleur is the city. I think it's Calais is where you actually land, but Harfleur is the nearest big city with walls around it. And so Henry is besieging Harfleur. And what is a siege? S-E-I-G-E. That's the word siege. What is it? Okay, somebody tell me. Right, it's to blockade or surround, to cut off. So that's how you, that's actually what they're doing with Kyiv in Ukraine. But so he surrounded the city, blocked them off, cut them off, but they're still trying to get in. And so a breach is a what? He says once more into the breach, unto the breach. What's a breach?
When you're able to go through
It's a hole, it's a space. So he's saying once more into the breach, or what? If we don't get through the wall, we will fill it up with our English dead. We'll create a new wall of the English bodies. That's pretty dramatic stuff, but we'll start that again tomorrow.
Because you know how embarrassing that would be to visit our parents there. I love my parents. And then she's gonna scream at us.
What happened to your quiz there, Andrew? We'll see ya. What happened to your quiz there, when you were stable?
Oh, yes, so I poured up. I had a 24, which is the lowest grade I've ever gotten. You said even Spanish.
I did,
don't understand
I
how
did.
you would.
Yes, I did.
So people were all tearing theirs up. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, now that I think about it, I got it torn up. I was like, maybe this is study, this tomorrow. So then I've been restapling it together.
So she's giving a makeup quiz, or
No, it's not what this is. We have a totally different tomorrow.
Don't tell Zach.
do you get the lowest grade dropped or anything?
I don't know. I don't know if my grade dropped yet. I've got to check.